All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another bonus episode of Down Once More. I'm your host, Matt, and I am here to give you my instant reactions to House of the Dragon Season 3, Episode 2, Queen's Landing. This is not going to be an in depth recap, it's just going to be my initial thoughts, reactions. I just finished watching the episode about 3 minutes ago. And so I'm hopping on here. I have a few notes that I took during it. And so I'm going to give you my thoughts. There will obviously be spoilers for it. Disclaimer if you're new here, I did not read the book. I'm intentionally now withholding reading the book until the series ends with season 4 because 99.9% of the time, the book is going to be better than the show. And so I would rather enjoy the show for what it is and then dive into the novel and the book afterwards, that kind of history of the Targaryens. So I'm not going to talk about differences between the book and the show. Apparently, there were a ton from last week's episode. I didn't know those, so I was able to just thoroughly enjoy last week's episode for the action we got, the character development, and the plot moving forward. And I also enjoyed this episode, a different vibe and different feeling than last week's episode, the season 3 premiere. But this one still, I felt like we were getting at the beginning of the episode, I thought it was just going to be more of a setup episode, that we weren't going to see much going on. We saw Rhaenyra's just complete devastation and grief and just shock and almost denial at first of seeing Jace's body and him being dead after kind of defying her and going off to the Battle of the Gullet, which was won. But like Corlys says later on, if this is winning, I hope I never see it again. Because the devastation to the fleet, to the city, to the men, to their whole cause was brutal. And you see Rhaenyra just after that devastation, just kind of in a stage of grief where she has just shut down, and it takes Daemon coming back there after being summoned about Jace's death and having to go and take King's Landing, that he's the only one that was really able to break her out of it. Mysaria had tried, guards had tried, no one had really been having any success. But then Daemon was able to talk to her, and how he had the vision, thanks to good old Alice Rivers and the heart trees of the Song of Fire and Ice. And so he has seen it now and talks about seeing who we know as Daenerys, the silver-haired girl with the 3 dragons, just kind of nursing them, and what that was like. So I thought that showed the mother's grief, and like part of that conversation with Rhaenyra and Daemon is she's talking about just she has lost 2 of her sons now in this battle in her quest for the throne. 2 that she talks about, like just raising them, and the ones that she has reared and trained. And so losing all of that for this just drive towards being queen and sitting on the Iron Throne. And Daemon kind of brings it back to, well, do you want to give up now and have their sacrifice be all in vain? And that kind of shakes her out of it a little bit. And she decides to go with him and take Hugh and Ulf to see if what Allison said was actually true and take King's Landing. And I I'm just gonna go with Rhaenyra and Daemon's arc and finish that, and then talk about the other thoughts. And then we see them come in, and when they're met with no resistance, just feeling a little bit of relief, but a little bit of kind of tentativeness about, okay, Alicent so far is keeping her word, so maybe this will work out, maybe it will be as easy as we were hoping. Then they start meeting some resistance when they get inside the Red Keep. Daemon, of course, coming to Rhaenyra's rescue because she's not a trained warrior, right? And rescue is a bad choice of words there, but just Rhaenyra's defense, as he is still kind of viewing himself as her protector. And he's taken after last season's kind of growth. He's no longer the one vying for the throne. He is now truly recognizing her claim and wanting to support her. at least in the show version of Daemon. And so taking out the Hightower guards and then getting to the throne room and being faced with the defenders there, the ones who are loyal to Aegon and the crown there, and the gold cloaks coming up that Alicent had kind of talked and gotten over to her side, and then also just seeing their loyalty to Daemon, just backing them up so they have a force with them here when they didn't know if they would have allies. And then Otto Hightower making his resurgence. We saw one of the final shots of season 2 that he was in a cell, and then finding out now that we always kind of knew, at least I did assume, that Larys Strong was the one that put him there, squirreled him away so that Larys could get a higher station, and just the guard taking Daemon to him, saying it was a gift from Larys Strong, and then Rhaenyra having to put Otto to the sword, to basically, Daemon even says, this is where you become queen. Do you like how I'm now just basically giving a recap, even though I said that's not what I was going to do? And just a little bit, I don't know, I read it as Otto being a little bit of a shit and just making a little bit of a dig at Rhaenyra, saying let Daemon do it and to behead him because he doesn't want to get hacked at. And Daemon, almost you think he was just going to do it, but then giving Rhaenyra his sword so that she could take his head. And then, of course, it's not clean. She hits him in the back first, and so he's in pain. But then she was able to take his head off with one clean just swing. And a shot that went so hard was Rhaenyra walking through Otto's blood to climb up and ascend and finally just sit on the Iron Throne, and seeing the reflection of her ascending the stairs in the pool of Otto's blood was a badass fucking shot. I loved that shot. And then you see her kind of take the throne. There's both a sense of relief, and I felt like in her eyes and her face, also a little bit of what have I become. And then when Alicent and Helena are brought in before her and they see Otto there, you see in Alicent's face just a little bit of horror and disbelief. And at first, I thought you saw it in her face. I thought Emma Darcy did a great job playing the end of this scene. That you saw in her face almost a little bit of horror, seeing that Alicent has now seen what she has done and killed her father, who she loved. Even though she didn't always agree with him, she was worried about him. We saw it in I can't remember if it was in episode 1 or if it was back in season 2, where she was worried when she was talking to Gwaine, her brother, about if he had heard from father, because she hadn't heard from him in a while. You see a little bit of like horror in Rhaenyra's face that Alicent has seen what she has become. But then I felt like the final closing shot, you just saw this kind of resolute look come across Rhaenyra's face that, nope, I did what I needed to do. This was the right move. Aegon wasn't here. I wanted to just kill him, but he's gone, and so this is what I had to do. So I thought Emma Darcy in this episode, they gave a fantastic performance, and the broken Rhaenyra was not something we have fully seen before. We saw it a little bit after Luke's death, and her just that grieving and needing to see his body or some sign that he was actually dead. Here with Jace, she got it instantly when she got the news, and just that heartbreak kind of, and that deep loss, just I thought we were maybe going to get some Mad Queen action a little bit there, and maybe that's still to come. I'm not sure. I haven't read the book. I'm going to find out along with those of you who are just watching it. The other things that we saw this episode, Daemon kind of turning away Alice Rivers, and then Aemond and Vhagar taking Harrenhal, Aemond taking out the Strong family, but also getting stabbed in the back, and then just collapsing at Alice Rivers' feet. I think there is going to be an interesting dynamic that is going to come to play there. After Daemon has kind of turned away Alice Rivers, now Aemond's asking her for help as he's in a weakened state, and Alice, I can see just playing with his mind and his emotions, and we're going to see some wild stuff coming up there. Aegon and Larys escaping, Aegon being resolute in his decision that they're going to go to Rook's Rest because Sir Criston Cole should be garrisoned there. And Larys, I think, was a little bit happy with this because he's been trying to push Aegon to see that he can do it and have something to work towards instead of just being just stubborn and just pained at where he's at. Larys is wanting him to be able to see that he can still do things and build up that strength and that will again. And so I think he was kind of proud of Aegon pushing, like, no, we're not going to head there. We're going to head for Rook's Rest. That's where I want to go. And so we also saw Rhaena kind of pleading to the Lady of the Vale to give her asylum, even though she's got a sheep stealer there saying, hey, now you can have a dragon that can protect you, because Rhaena's terrified that Rhaenyra is going to come and kill her for what happened to Jace. And so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out with Daemon and his daughter, and if we see that this season or not. But that's something that I am anxious for, to see how everything's gonna play out there. Is Rhaena gonna work on her bond with Sheep Stealer more? Are we gonna see him start listening to her? Sheep Stealer, I'm assuming, is a him. Maybe it's a she. I don't know. But I really enjoyed this episode. Like I said, it started out a little bit slower. I was wondering if it was going to be more just a, hey, we're setting the stage for the big things to come. And we definitely got that a little bit. But the stakes and the tension, especially towards the end, were fantastic. I'm excited to see how Aemon's arc plays out. I'm excited to see, it looks like we're going to get some Alicent and Rhaenyra kind of discourse in the next episode. We're going to see Darren come out there, Alicent's other final child with Viserys, and that clash between Daemon and the High Towers, and Rhaenyra having to come to grips with, hey, you've got challengers now. What are you going to do about it? So I'm excited to see where the rest of this season goes. And I hope you all are too, and will be tuning in every Sunday night to get my instant reactions, thoughts on House of the Dragon. I'm also doing instant reactions to Love Island. Every night there's a new episode if you want something completely different from House of the Dragon. But hey, I know I'm not the only one that's watching both of them. Then regular podcast episodes drop every Wednesday. This week's episode is going to be what's coming to streaming in theaters in July. So if you're looking for something to watch between House of the Dragon episodes, I got your list coming out there and kind of my top picks from each streaming site and theaters and what I'm most excited about. So make sure you don't miss that. Turn on notifications so you get notified when each of these episodes drop, as the times are all over the place. Sundays are a busy day for me. This is the third podcast thing I've recorded today. I recorded Wednesday's episode. I watched Love Island and recorded my instant reaction to that. Then I watched House of the Dragon, and I am, as you are watching, recording my instant reaction to that and then editing it. And so it is almost 1 a.m. By the time this gets posted, it will be after 1 a.m. I will be getting up at 5:30 a.m. for work the next day. So Sundays are a busy night for me. So the least you can do, if you enjoyed the video and watched it to this point, go hit the subscribe button, throw a like on here, throw a comment below if you have thoughts on this episode. And I'm okay with telling me things from the book, how things were different. I do not want spoilers yet for things that are going to happen in the future of the book and in the series. So don't spoil that for me. Don't be dicks in the comments either. Don't spoil it for anyone else. But what are some of the key differences from this one that won't spoil future things? I am curious. So thank you all for tuning in. Appreciate you. See you next time. And don't forget to go down once more. Later.